Well, buckle up. This series is going to be a fun one, too. Dallas, OKC. I feel like we haven't seen OKC play a basketball game in like 7 weeks.
It's been about that long.
They've been chilling.
I know.
And now they get to take on Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic in a series, Mavs and Thunder.
The best looking Kyrie and Luka. Well, at least Kyrie for sure right now. But I would even look at this Dallas team. You're probably playing this Dallas team when they're playing their best basketball together.
They are, but there are some question marks kind of looming. Ooh. I think the good news for Dallas, let's just start with the good news.
Okay.
Luka is going to get rest because game 1 isn't until Tuesday.
Yep.
And that's huge for him. Obviously, the knee has been an issue.
Yeah.
And his shooting hasn't been great. I think they need Luka to be more efficient in this series. They're going to need him in a large way. And this Mavs team has lost Maxi Kleber. He is not going to be playing in this series after taking that hard fall, hurting his shoulder. So he's not playing, which kind of changes things, right? Like, he's done some nice things defensively for the Mavs this year. He's able to space the floor in some of these lineups. Well, that's missing. Tim Hardaway still kind of a question mark when he's returning after the ankle injury. So they are a little nicked up headed into this one.
Yeah, and you talk about can Luka be efficient? And I don't even think you're just talking about him, with the way he's attacking and making, shots in the mid-range. It's like, no, can he knock down those threes, especially if he's getting better looks than he even was in that last series, right? And if he is, he's got to be able to knock it down for his team. I mean, there's just so many times where it felt like he was missing so many open threes, and it's going to happen. But the fact that it's happening in the postseason, there's just a lot that falls on him and Kyrie and their offensive abilities.
Yeah, and he's still able to put up some big numbers. You mentioned Kyrie Irving. Yeah. Kyrie is playing the best basketball in his career. He's doing it on both ends too, and he's going to have to do it again in this series. There's a lot of compelling matchups. If you watch some of the OKC Dallas games this year, they're putting Lou Dort on Luka. And it makes a ton of sense just because Lou Dort he is so strong.
Yep.
He could take the hits. Luka still put up big numbers against OKC regardless. And so that's the other challenge. This OKC team plays really good defense, one of the best defensive teams in the league this year. This is just going to be a different level against this Dallas squad. The Pelicans, we know full well in Sacramento. The Pelicans, it doesn't matter who plays for them. They slap around the Kings. But the Pelicans were playing without Zion. And now this Thunder team gets, in my opinion, a bigger test. I mean, you're playing 100%. Kyrie and Luka, who are at another level. I think the size of the Mavs can give OKC problems now that you've got Gafford and Lively. Yep. Lively had a big game against him earlier this year. Gafford, too, had some nice moments.
Girth and rim protection.
Yeah. So, as I look up and down this series, you're looking up some of the matchups and you're thinking about, oh, man, what can SGA do in this series? Well, SGA is going to have an impact in this series. Jalen Williams got a lot of the assignment on Kyrie in the past. Kyrie, I'm curious what kind of assignment he takes in this series. Is he going to want the SGA assignment? The guy was defending Paul George last series. Like, he has been embracing some of these matchups. He wants to take on James Harden sometimes. Will he want this matchup of taking on the longer SGA?
How fun is it that in some of these series that we are talking about right now in the NBA, we are talking about the best player of a team wanting to take on the best player of the other team. We talked about Ant in this last game that we just saw against the Nuggets, always wanting just to be on Jamal Murray and actually being able to lock him down at times. And now you're seeing this with Kyrie talking about his defense after that last series that they just played and him wanting to make sure that he becomes an elite defender and this two-way guy. So if that was the case, I would love the shit out of that matchup. Is there a way where he's actually slowing down SGA from not getting into the paint every single offensive possession?
That's why it's probably more likely they throw Derrick Jones Jr. on him, right? And Derrick
makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense. Yep. But one thing SGA can do, one of the best in the league, he drives more than anybody in the NBA. And because of that, he gets a lot of opportunities at the free throw line. He can get you into foul trouble. And that's where, if you're Dallas, that's an area of concern. Like, he starts getting some of these guys into foul trouble, and you're looking at your bench going, oh, we're down a couple of bodies too, it may change things for the Mavs rotation.
Absolutely. And you're exactly right. How do you not get in that foul trouble? How do you make sure that you are available to play at all times? Because it's not only when you look at down the roster for Dallas and you go, okay, well, if you go too much further, whenever you have to rest guys, you are going to be missing out on something else, right? Especially with Luka, even if he's not being efficient with his shooting, he's still such a threat out there, right? He still poses as such an offensive threat, and he's still so good at moving the basketball around and seeing the entire floor.
The key for Dallas in this series, especially with no Kleba, and who knows about Tim Hardaway, who is streaky when he does play, but we've seen him get going before, knock down shots. Your other guys have to knock down shots. PJ Washington has to knock down threes in this series. Derrick Jones Jr. has to be somewhat of an offensive threat. And we saw these guys do that in the series. I know what they can do defensively, but they have to give them something offensively, especially with how OKC, they're going to fly. They switch everything defensively. They're going to fly around. They're going to make life challenging. You have to make sure those other guys can knock down shots. And I think the other key is just going to be watching the matchup with Chet taking on those bigs.
Sure.
Chet, I love Chet's game. I think sometimes he struggles with the physicality a little bit. He's a rookie in the NBA. I get it. I just love this. I love it in the Mavericks' favor much more with Lively and Gafford. And I think Gafford, now that he doesn't have to deal with Zubac's big ass, I think that's favorable for Dallas.
Yeah, and I see that, but I also felt like down the stretch of the regular season too, Chet had been doing a better and better job against some of the bigs in this league. It didn't just have to be someone with a slim body that was a big. It was some of the girthier bigs out there that I felt like he was doing a better job. Like, okay, how do I make this into a turnaround jumper rather than try and meet them at the rim where I might not win that strength battle there. So I felt like he did a better job throughout the later part of the season, making those adjustments. What is that going to look like here though against this Dallas Mavericks team that is playing such good defense together? I know we keep talking about Kyrie, but you went down the line talking about some of the other guys.
Their defense has been great. It's been fantastic.
And just together, it's been so great. The way that they're moving, recovering, rotating.
One difference, right? I mean, we were watching in that Clippers series, especially when Kawhi went down. It's like, Ty Lue's putting out like lineups at times late in that series that featured Westbrook, who you don't have to defend, who PJ Tucker, who you're going to play off of, play like two non-shooters. OKC's got shooting. That's what they have. I mean, they literally can all shoot the three, and they're going to shoot the three. We've seen it, right? So that makes things a little more challenging for this Dallas defense where you're not playing off Case and Wallace off the bench. You're not helping off Chet for, you're going to have to guard, and you're going to have to contest, and the rotations have to be there. I think one thing that gets talked about so much with OKC is like, hey, are they ready yet? When I ask that question, I'm asking it more from like a personnel standpoint. Like, do they have the pieces necessary to make a deep run? Well, throughout the whole season, they've proven people wrong along the way. The one thing I don't doubt about OKC is their confidence.
Yeah.
They don't get rattled, dude. They may be a young team, but you could see how together they are. They feed off that crowd in Oklahoma City, which is one of the best in the NBA too. They're going to be fired up for the second round series. Like, I think they're going to be ready for this moment to compete.
Another team that vibes off of each other so well. And you're so right. They look so connected out there. And not just like, oh, they all like each other. The chemistry's there. No, they look connected on a basketball level. Just on a whole different level of being able to know where the other one wants to cut, how they want to cut, where they would like the ball, all these little things. Their toughness is there. So when you have like an entire team that seems young enough, that seems tough enough, that can really bring it in this second round of the playoffs, it's no matter what kind of style we get from OKC against this Mavs team, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Do I say that about every series?
Yeah, well, no, I'm sorry. You look at the final whatever games, right? The final four series, right?
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Final
Good
four
job.
series, right? For the most part, I like them all, 3 of the 4.
What's the one that you don't like?
I'm not totally excited about. I'm sorry, I'm not getting amped for Cavs Celtics.
Yeah.
It just doesn't feel like it's going to be much of a series,
Sure.
and maybe I'm being disrespectful to the Cavs. I just don't necessarily see. I think Boston's going to take care of business, but Pacers, Knicks, Sign me up.
Yep.
Right? This T-Wolves Nuggets series, please.
Already.
And then this series, I'm having a hard time going. I talk myself into both teams. I'm like, I kind of like Dallas for these reasons. They go, but OKC has the shooting. They've got the confidence. They have an MVP candidate just like Luka. It's SGA. I think another swing guy in this series. Like, I think if OKC finds a way to win this series, we're going to be talking about at the end of it, Jalen Williams, who finally like is maybe getting the. I feel like if you're a hardcore NBA fan, you're like, oh, of course he's a stud. I mean, you're seeing it, second year guy. But I don't think from a national recognition standpoint, he gets that attention yet. This could be his moment to really show the rest of the basketball world, like, hey, I'm a legit star here. I'm a rising star in this league.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I hope that that's what happens because I love his game so much. I love the way that he plays basketball. And I think someone like SGA complements his game so well. Someone like Chet complements his game so well. And those two get talked about so much. You know, they're in that whatever commercial. Was that like a Verizon wireless commercial? I don't even know what the
one
shit
that
it was.
Play all the time?
They play all the time. Like those are the two that are getting the recognition on OKC. And it's deserved. But what Jalen Williams has been able to do this entire season, and again, his body size in this day and age of the NBA, all the things, on a different stage, maybe that will happen.
Dude, I can't wait for this series. Let us know in the comments below, what's your gut tell you about this series? Who has the edge? I've been reading Reddit. OKC fans are beyond confident. I read Mavs Reddit. Mavs fans are beyond confident. Try to be rational in this. Whether you're a Mavs fan, an OKC fan, how are you feeling about this series? Is it going 7? If so, that game 7's in OKC.
Oh, shit.
I don't know. I'm not even going to make a prediction. You let us know what you think the keys are in the comments below. Hit the thumbs up and subscribe.
Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. They tell you what they know. Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. The